what typically is the journey that you've seen these celebrity coaches that we see now and we admire? Where did they start and what was their journey like?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It's interesting because in the online space, a lot of times people are taking their experiences or something that they learned previously. So, like Tony Ann was saying, she started off in corporate and then wanted to do her passion. That's generally where it comes from, and that really is what it's about. Is going from, let's say, working full time to going into entrepreneurship. It really should start with something you're passionate about. And I say that's the beginning, because if you start from I just want to make money, you may not be successful. But if you start with your passion, you start with something you've already good at, and you learn to adjust it or change it or massage it to be your own business owner or take it online. That's where you're going to be able to see real success. And so if you look at all of those people, for example, Rachel Rogers, who was an attorney before, and she learned how to start her own business and grew to be a very successful law firm, and then turned that into helping other people starting businesses. And now she's multi 9-figure business, I think now. Just as one example, there's several different examples out there of people who've been able to do that. So really it's taking something that you're passionate about, something everybody has some kind of knowledge they can bring to the world, and then take that and start transitioning that into being your own business owner and starting to see who can you serve, essentially. And that's how you start your business.
And so as we think then about persons who are, all right, I'm stepping out, I want to step out. I see Tony and do it, I should say it rough, but I want to try it. I want to, make that bold leap and start making some money online. What would be probably the first 3 things, Alisa, that you would say someone just starting out in the online space can do to get their business established?
So the first 3 things I would say, number one is, what is your passion? I mean, that is number one, right? What is your passion and who do you serve? That has to be the first thing, right? And so it's really looking at, it could be anything. I mean, honestly, there are people that make money all kinds of ways, right? And so whether it's, do you want to be more of an influencer kind of person? Do you have a service you want to do? Even if you want to, let's say, be more behind the scenes, there's definitely offers there. So for example, I worked with a multi-million-dollar copywriting agency. They were never out there in the front line, but they were making multiple 7 figures based upon the services that they had to offer many, many business owners. And this person was a copywriter before and turned it into a whole agency, right? And so it's really, that's number one. So what do you want to do and who do you serve? Number 2 is really identifying and really niching down. And I know that word, niche, it's like what is your actual target? So a lot of times people say, oh, this is something that's good for everybody. But you really can't be successful that way because the message won't be captured. So it's coming up with the right messaging, the right person that you really want to help. That is number 2 to being successful. And then the third piece of it is really executing. And how are you doing that? How are you actually getting your service out there? Are you going to offer courses? Are you going to be a behind the scenes service provider? Are you going to offer products? That's something that is very popular now online with Instagram and TikTok. People are blowing up. You'd be surprised at the next door neighbor millionaires that are out there based upon something as simple as, like, I don't know, take a very fancy pen. It could be anything. And people are just selling thousands and thousands of those things. So you just have to really think about, how do you want to deliver that? And then from there, once you figure that out, then all the work starts, right? Because it's like all the steps that you get to in order to actually start doing that. And the different levels for different things. Obviously, being an influencer, it's more of, and Tony Ann can speak to this way better than I can, but it's more of relationships, partnerships, brand relationships, et cetera, versus a product. Obviously, you got manufacturing, you have cost of goods and all those different things. So it does become a little technical, but it's not a get rich quick. That's the biggest thing that I can say to people. A lot of times people say, oh, I could just do this thing. Yes, you can, but there are steps to it, and it's very rewarding as long as you put in the steps to get it done.
Nice. So, Tony, for you, you started while you were still in the corporate world. At what point did you say, yeah, I'm ready to do this full time? What was that crucial moment that you said, all right, this could be a thing. Like I could see myself doing this full time.
Um, that's a very, very good question. That realization happened when I could no longer give enough of my time to my content creation. It just became too much. And at that point, and it also, you're, I had to make some really hard decisions because I would have to pass up on jobs because conflicts. I had a 9 to 5 job, I didn't have the time. So, and time waits on no one because you're there at the 9 to 5 and you're saying, okay, let me hold off. And then somebody else who's not even as good as you just getting all the jobs and you're like, I have to do it. So that was it for me. So it was getting more money and also just my time. And I just had to make that hard. It wasn't a hard decision, but it was a decision that I had to just make, that listen, go for it, go all out, have the confidence and know that you'll do well. So yeah.
So what are the, as you've stepped out, what are some of the main things that you had before? Because building on what Alisa said, it's a journey. It's not a, hey, I wake up tomorrow, I'm an influencer, people. Yeah, I'm making money. I'm good. I'm gonna run this. What's the process you went through?
To become an influencer, that's what you mean, or as a content creator?
Yeah.
Um, the process is what I did was I created my whole Instagram page doing travel content. And then as Alicia would have mentioned, you find a niche. Mine is travel, Jamaican travel and international travel. And I created an audience that love to consume my content. It's a service where I try to help people as to, what are the best places to visit in Jamaica in terms of the food, the culture, all of that. So I took my time and I built this trust that
Ah,
people, yeah, it's about trust. It's about trust, I wanted to be that person that people could just say, oh, I'm coming to Jamaica and I need somewhere to go. Who can I call? Not
oh
Ghostbusters.
yeah. Now that's who you gonna call?
Yes, and so when I realized that people were enjoying my content, I realized that this is a hit. It just came naturally to me. Using my skills as a photographer, a storyteller, all of that, it just came in perfectly, and I learned stuff during my journey. I do credit some of it to working in corporate Jamaica, learning from the different people who I worked with. So I learned how to copyright, I learned how to do voiceover. All of that I learned during my journey. So, baby steps, but we're getting there.